I want to thank everybody for coming today. You know, this has been a wonderful campaign over the last 6 or 7 months. Zealand and I have traveled all over Mississippi, and we've had the great opportunity to meet wonderful people. Ever since I started running for public office in February of 2003, we've met some great people around Mississippi, and that's what makes Mississippi wonderful, is the great people here. And I've traveled all over the state and traveled all over the country giving speeches. And what I have found is there are people in other parts of the country that are trying to manufacture what we already have. And that's good people, good communities, and good values. And I don't know anybody that represents that better, or more obviously represents those good values, than the Stout family. And they've been wonderful friends of mine since 2003 when we were running, and have been just a great help in this campaign. And I'm here today because we mourn their loss. And thanks to Secretary of State Delbert Hosemann and the hard work of Representative Alex Mansour, I am going to present a Mississippi state flag that flew over the state capitol yesterday, Thursday, July 28, 2011, in memory of Mr. John Howell Stout, in recognition of his dedicated service to the state of Mississippi. And thanks to everything Ms. Betty has done to make Vicksburg a better place, to make Warren County a better place, to make Mississippi a better place. She's worked tirelessly in so many different endeavors, and I can't think of a more appropriate honor today than presenting a flag that has flown over our state capitol. Thank y'all.
Amen.
Hi, Chris Whittington with Listen to the Eagle and Vicksburg Daily News, here with candidate for Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves. Tate, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing great this Friday morning. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Welcome to the beautiful city of Vicksburg. I know this isn't your first trip here.
No, it isn't. You know, we are actually property owners in Warren County. We have a place out at Eagle Lake, so I get over to Warren County every opportunity I can possibly get, which, by the way, for the last 6 months has not been nearly enough.
No, it's not been nearly enough. Did your property out at Eagle Lake get any water?
Believe it or not, we were about 18 inches from taking water, so we were one of the fortunate ones. There are a lot of people in Warren County and really throughout the South Delta that were not as fortunate as us, but we were very fortunate.
All right, Tate. Today's a digital age. A lot of people may have seen an ad on a website or seen a sign in a yard. Lots of people have DVRs. They may have seen a blip of your commercial. They may not have actually sat down and watched it. Tell people who you are and what you're all about.
Well, I'm Tate Reeves. I'm currently the state treasurer of Mississippi, and I'm running for lieutenant governor. I'm running because I believe we need a true fiscal conservative in the office of lieutenant governor, someone who has a record of standing up for what I believe in, no matter the political consequences. I've taken on the political insiders inside the Capitol. I've taken on those who want to spend more, borrow more, and tax more. I've taken on Mike Moore when he was illegally diverting $20 million a year of our money, of taxpayers' money, to a private nonprofit, some of which did some good things. The problem was there was no transparency and no accountability. I have been someone who has stood up for the taxpayers every opportunity in the last 7.5 years, and I'll do it as your next lieutenant governor.
All right. Stepping away from the state scale, you're the treasurer of our state. Looking at what's going on in Washington now with all of this debt debacle, we can't get any kind of consensus on either side of the aisle, and there's something that's got to be done. What's your take on the whole situation?
Well, it's terribly unfortunate that the Obama administration wants to make a statement here that they want to raise taxes under any circumstances, and they want to use the debt ceiling debate to do that. We need to cut expenses in the federal government. We have to cut expenses in the federal government because if we don't, this debate that's going on right now is going to be irrelevant 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now when our kids and our grandkids are trying to pay back this massive amounts of debt that the Obama administration has built up, trillions of dollars just in the last couple of years. We have to get some sanity in our fiscal in our fiscal approach in Washington. I hope that the conservatives and the Republicans stand up to the president and say we don't need new taxes, we need spending cuts, and we need a balanced budget amendment. We balance our budget in Mississippi, even though it's very, very challenging. The federal government ought to have to do the same.
What benefits, and this is for those states out there, now most states do have a balanced budget amendment. What benefits do you see as a treasurer of the state, the chief fiscal officer of the state of Mississippi, basically? What benefits do you see as our balanced budget amendment giving us, where that, of course, that's not happening in Washington?
Well, the fact is, even with the balanced budget amendment in Jackson, our legislature over the past 10 to 15 years has gotten in the habit of borrowing money that ought to be paid for out of recurring expenses. That's why I'm running for lieutenant governor, is to get those kind of things under control. The fact of the matter is, the balanced budget amendment at least ensures that we have a fiscally responsible approach to governing. In Washington, to many of the members of Congress, whether we borrow $1 trillion or $2 trillion to make annual expenditures doesn't make any difference to them. It's almost as if the money doesn't exist. It's someone else's problem, and that's just irresponsible. It would be very prudent for us to have a balanced budget amendment in Washington. Our legislature hadn't done everything right in budgeting. Representative Mansour, who's here today, has stood up against wasteful spending. That's what I'll do as our next lieutenant governor. That's what our members of Congress and our conservatives in Washington need to do today as we debate this debt issue.
All right. Polls are open on Tuesday, August 2nd, which is, of course, the debt deadline for many of those of you who are watching TV. In this coming Tuesday, what is the importance of getting people out to vote?
Well, it's very important. We've been very fortunate to get tremendous crowds all over the state of Mississippi, including this huge crowd here today, and I'm honored by that. But the fact of the matter is, we got to continue working hard. We've got 5 more days to campaign. We've got to campaign all the way up until 7 p.m. on Tuesday when the polls close. If people in Warren County that have shown us tremendous support over the years will get together, they'll call their friends and their neighbors, they'll talk to the people they go to church with on Sunday, we will have a huge turnout on Sunday, and a big turnout in the Republican primary is good for me, and it's good for those who believe in fiscal conservative issues in Mississippi.
All right, Tate, I want you to talk directly into that camera, because I want you to look, because we've got a lot of young people that look at our website. Right. I want you to talk directly to them and talk to them about the importance of getting out and actually casting that ballot.
Absolutely. Well, I'm running for lieutenant governor because I believe we need a true fiscal conservative in the office. When I ran for office in 2003, I was 29 years old. I ran because many of my friends and their young families were leaving Mississippi. They weren't leaving Mississippi because they wanted to. They were leaving it because they thought they had to, because they needed to find work. Too many of our young families, too many of our best and brightest are leaving our state to find work. We can't make Mississippi the best place in America unless we can keep our best and brightest at home. That's why I'm running for lieutenant governor. That's why young people across our state need to get out to the polls and vote Tuesday, vote in the Republican primary, and vote for Tate Reeves.
Tate, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and good luck, my brother.
Thank you so much. Great to be back in Vicksburg.